All right, hello once again. This is Jeff Scott of Rankin Technical College. What I've decided to do is to take our textbook, which is Murach's Android Programming Second Edition by Joel Murach, and start and basically create the entire tip calculator app from scratch. Okay, not sure if that's a good idea or not a good idea, but that's what we're going to do. All right, remember the tip calculator contains three different types of controls. It has two buttons for the plus and the minus. It has one edit text widget, which is where we enter the bill amount. And it has 7 different text views, which are basically headings, or in the case of the tip and the total, they also will show the final amounts for us. All right, so I've started Android Studio, as you can see. In fact, let's just start from the very beginning. Click right here, and this will start up Android Studio for me. As they mentioned on the welcome page there, okay, if this doesn't come up by some chance, but it should always, so let's start a brand new Visual Studio project, and let's put it on the desktop. So I'm going to change over to here. I don't know if I have one on my actual desktop that's called Tip Calculator. I've got a few copies. I've created my own, etc. And if you've been watching along with me, you've seen that. So let's see. Well, I want to make sure that I'm putting the right one in here, so. Well, this is going to be a little embarrassing if I can't get this to come up, so. And I'm looking, I don't see anything here called Tip Calculator right there, so we're going to try that. So we'll set our project location, or try to right here. Tip Calculator. A non-empty directory exists at the specified location. Proceed with caution. Well, let's create a folder out here. We'll call it tip. Okay, so tip. Click next. Now on here, it's asking basically what is the minimal version of the Android SDK or software development kit that you want to use. You're best off as we start here to just accept the defaults, so click next. And we want an empty activity, so again, click next. We're asked what to name this, and we'll keep it at main activity and click next. Now that's what's explained on pages 32 and 33 in your book. All right. Now they have you come in here and open an existing project. I've had some problems opening up their project. So what I'd rather do, instead of doing that, is I'd rather start typing in some stuff, okay, ourselves. So as this comes up, and it will, if it doesn't, you can click project over here. All right, this is all that's in it right now as far as Java code, which is not very much. That's it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click under res, and I'm going to go to values, and under values I'm going to double click on the strings.xml file, which currently looks like this. All right, our app name is Tip Calculator. Okay, but we're going to put a bunch of other stuff in here. And I'm taking it right out of the book. This isn't necessarily the way that I would do it, but it's the way I'm going to do it because it's right out of the book. All right, so we have a bill amount label, which is going to say bill amounts. And then we're going to have literally just bill amount. Not bill amount label, but bill amount. All right, and for now, that's going to say 3460. Why? Because that's the value that the author has indicated that he wants to use as a default value. All right, so we've got those. Let's just continue on. So next we're going to have our tip percent label. Oops. And that's going to just say percent. Now this is getting a little big, so I'm going to try to cut it down. There we go. All right. And then we'll have tip percent, which we are setting again by default to 15%. All right. Again, this is the stuff I'm recreating this from page 43 in the textbook. All right. We're going to have both an increase and a decrease since they're almost the same. Save a little bit of time that way. And we've got tip percent label, tip percent. We also want tip amount label and tip amount. So this label will just say the word tip. And we're going to set the tip amount. We're just going to default it to 0.00 with a $sign. All right. And then finally, we've got to do the total amount, which is almost like this one. I just have to change the word tip to the word total. So this will become total amount label. And this will say total. And this will be, say, total amount. And again, it's 0.00. Those are all of the string resources that we're going to use in this particular program. All right. And if you don't know what those are, again, you're going to see that later on as we begin to create our interface, you create a strings.xml file and you put in things like this for what's called localization, which is kind of a weird term because with localization, what we mean is if you want to internationalize the program, you're able to do so. All right, sorry about that. So here is our strings.xml file, and you will see this as we begin to fill up our user interface. They also show on this page, they talk about the demens file, which I'm trying to remember where that is, and we'll find it. And demens is short for dimensions. Let's see where they show that. I thought there was a demens file that got created, and I don't want to. I'm looking here to just make sure there is or there is not. I don't see one in here or in here. Let's see if we come in here by values, right mouse click, do new directory, and we will call, I don't want a new directory, I'm sorry. New, we want a new XML file. I don't know if that's considered a layout or a values. I think values. And create a new thing with a name. I'm going to try to type in demens here. All right. And put in what they put in the book, again, on page 43. And if it turns out that this is redundant, I'll get rid of it. Again, not my wordage, right from out of the book. So there is the horizontal, and of course the other one, if the first one would be horizontal, then the next one would be vertical. And that will also be the 16 dp. So we'll keep that. And if it turns out, like I said, that I don't need that, I can always get rid of it later. File, let's do a save all. We haven't written any code yet, so it doesn't pay to try to come in and write anything. Okay. So they've got the XML for the user interface, and it's on pages 49, 50, and 51. Now, I'm going to actually do what they show here. In other words, I'm going to go over to Layout, Activity Main, and right now, that's all that's there. And if I go to my text, that's what's there. All right. So I'm going to literally, or for lack of better words, virtually get rid of all this and just start new. So I'm going to start with a relative layout. And, whoops. All right, so for now, this is going to look a little weird there. Whoops, cancel. Now, doggone. What I do want to do is come down here, hit enter a few times. There we go. All right, start working with the relative layout. And see, it's kind of nice to have the IntelliSense here as it kicks in. We're going to go back in just a moment and take a look. I'm going to fill all of this in. And this is just before we put in any of our controls. This is just for the relative layout. So we're going to put this in and we're going to go back and talk about it. Now, that'll be it for this first part. check something out here. Okay, when I went in my Demens file here, this should have said horizontal margin, as should this. Oops. Okay, I saved, I believe. Let's go back to our activity main. Okay. I want left and right to both be this. And I realize it's a little hard right now to see. Okay, so this will be right. Wasn't too good. So we'll want padding top and padding bottom. Okay, and these two will be vertical. One more line, and then we'll be finished here. I think this is going to be main activity, but if I'm wrong, we're going to find out. All right. So this is everything we have so far. So let's take a quick look at it. All right, let's see. Layout width should be defined. All right. So this is the layout basically for our user interface. Now, right here, if we go here, you'll notice it says this site cannot be reached. All right, and I'm going to also try to go here. I think I'm going to get the same message. Okay, to my knowledge, I could be wrong, wouldn't be the first time, won't be the last time. These two things right here, this in here and this in here, are not URLs. They are what are referred to as URIs, which are Uniform Resource Indicators. All right, it's sending a signal to Android that the XML namespace, which is what that stands for, that you're using for Android, is this. And the one that you're using for your tools, which are your widgets, is this. All right. Then what we're saying is have the width and the height match the parent. In other words, by default, the layout or our screen should take up the entire width and height of the screen. Okay? And we should have padding that's built in left, right, bottom, and top. And we get that padding from right here, which means we should have 16 density pixels, or DP, of padding. All right? The tools context, I don't remember exactly what that does. It may be in here, all right, and it may not be. I'm not really that concerned about it. But I'm going to stop right now, and when I come back, I'm going to pick it up on where it says here, this is the middle of page 49. and we're going to start on the bill amount where we're going to add the text view and the edit text. As we add each and every one of these, we'll go back and you'll notice it right now. If we go back into design mode, there's nothing there. All right. But as we come in and start and keep adding stuff, we'll go back. All right. So let's do a file save as, or save all, I should say. And I'm going to stop for this particular